So today I want to talk to you about this work that has been kind of incubating. It's currently in an incubation state, but it's something I've been working on for several years now. And I've broken the presentation up into three parts. Defining it, the research that I've done, and the process within it, which continues to continues to be ongoing, excuse me. The three parts are significant because they share commonalities with the products that I have made. So first, let me define this problem. I grew up in the 80s. I mean, look at me. Look, I'm Moroccan. I'm loving the 80s. We're all loving the 80s right there. My mother had epilepsy for most of her life. And it was for most of my youth growing up with her, from since I was born till I was about 15. What had happened is you can see here in this slide, she had scarring on her hippocampus on the right side of her brain. And this caused her to slowly, over her life, her seizures gradually got worse and worse. And then had a operation later in her life, which got that tissue removed, and that freed her from epilepsy. Now, I have my own children now who are actually sleeping next door, so I'm a little bit more subdued right now. Now that I have them, I thought about this problem again, and how would I approach that if I was the one who then had epilepsy? What would I do for them? How could I help them through that issue? Because it was difficult. It was a challenge. I mean, I know I was a sprightly, happy looking kid, but it was hard. So I started to look at toy designers, modernist folks, and some contemporary folks. So you see here, this first fellow, here's Ed Sheverton. This next one he's contemporary. Next one is Labuse Miklova, Czech Republic. Everybody's screen's just in the way just a little bit. But this is Ladislav Sutnar. And then these two are actually recent things that I have found here in Norway and Sweden. This fellow named Kay Bojesen from Denmark. Fantastic stuff. And I love the simplicity. It's always kind of resonated with me. And that's what I enjoy working in. So this is where I began. I just kind of went with my gut and I said, man, I remember mom's seizures being super long. They were so long. So let's shoot for 15 minutes because that seemed like a hell of a long time as a kid. So I got the sand timer, put some faces on it. This could indicate, how long the child would have to wait until the seizure had elapsed, until it had passed. And this little guy can flip over and help the kid. But, I didn't do my research. I just kind of went with my gut. It turns out that seizures are not that long. They are about approximately 5 minutes in total. So I grabbed a kitchen timer, put it inside of a little box that I made, and gave it a little bit of character, and then even considered putting things on different planes where it would show that separation between child and mother. So you can see my face here at the top, separated from my mother down below, or even talking about the distortion that happened to my mother when she was having a seizure. So that little simple box could communicate that. Oh, I'm sorry, there it was. Forgive me. So those are those images. All right. So I also really love woodworking, and I turned to the lathe, uh, and as well as the bandsaw. But the lathe specifically, you see that I spent days on the lathe. Look at all those little guys. And started playing with the colors within the woods and seeing how I could get a nice contrast and build simple characters. I mean, if I turn you back to those modernist artists I was showing you, I was trying to pull a lot from that simplicity. So creating these characters helped me start give this a little bit more appeal to a child. So this was my first creation, and with further research, I came to find out that that was my halfway mark. I came to find out that there are these portions of a seizure, two. First one being automatisms. Automatisms are the portion where the brain is resetting. I'm sorry, forgive me. It's actually the seizure happens first. The seizure happens first, then the resetting happens, which causes the automatisms. The seizure can be, with my mother, it was collapsing. That would last just a couple minutes. After that, it was automatisms, which was when the brain was resetting. So for my mother, I remember she did a repetitive movement, which is like rubbing the top of her thighs. I distinctly remember that. So with this character, the idea here is that you turn the head, it will rotate for 2 minutes, and simultaneously while you rotate the bottom one, which turns for 5 minutes. 2 minus 5 minus 2 equals 3, so 3 minutes for automatisms, generally speaking, would, quote unquote, solve the problem, right? It gives a visual indicator for how long this will take, because otherwise it was like I was sitting and looking at mom. It was like the beach ball on the Mac, right? You have no idea how long that thing's going to last, and I don't know how long as a child my mother's seizure was going to last. So this tool was an indicator of how time shows me how time would pass, just like a loading bar on a website. So for the process, I ended up getting a hold of these motors from timed light switches and co-opting them, gluing them into the pieces, which you may have seen in the show. Remember, I did a whole lot of work on the lathe, put in these little dowels, made little mini characters, and put those together. Just this time I made them bigger and put motors inside of them. And then we got these versions. Once again, using the walnut, maple, walnut to create a little bit of contrast. I revisited that box, that color. I thought there was something there. Communicating with a friend of mine, he told me to how can you make this work this back into the characters, because that distortion that was happening was really something that was great. So then we came to these color guys, which you see in the show as well. They work the same way, right? Automatus, a seizure at the top, indicated by the head. Legs at the bottom indicated automatisms. That made sense to me because of my mom's leg rubbing, right? So these, I also went with the maple and walnut again to create these guys. And inset these parts with veneer, burned them in with a laser cutter and glued them in. let's see, let me zip through. This was the packaging that I thought for them. But let me just close with this. I told you at the first that I've been incubating, and that is certainly the case. They look nice. Pat me on the back. Good job, Ben. But I can't get them to work. I can't get them to work. There's my dirty laundry, my dirty secrets out there for you. I have tried these things, Milliput, JB Weld. I've worked with sculptors who've told me, you want to get a metal to metal bond with JB Weld, try this Milliput. But I continue to just have failures, or the motors jam up and don't work, or, you know, they may work for a little bit, but these poor people that I surprise in shows, when I'm like, here, twist it, it'll like break in their hands. I'm like, oh, so it creates a lot of awkward exchanges. So there you have it, folks. That is the true story of the Comfort Toys. Thank you for listening to me. I think that's my time, right, Moon?
Yes.
Hey, I did all right.
Thank you.
Go over.
Yes, thank you so much for your presentation. That's very moving and inspiring.
Thank you.
Okay. I'd like to hear more about your design in the Q&A session.
Yeah.
All right. So we're moving on to the next. Our next speaker is Professor Ting Zhu. Professor Ting Zhu is a multidisciplinary designer and artist. She specializes in graphic design. Sorry about that. She specializes in graphic design, motion graphics, scientific visualization, and photography. Originally from China, she graduated from the Beijing Institute of Graphic Communication in 2007 and received her MFA degree in visual communication design from the School of the Art Institute of Chicago in 2013. She was awarded the SAIC New Artist Society Trustee Fellowship, and her works have been featured in numerous galleries in New York, Shanghai, and London. She's an assistant professor at the University of Connecticut. In this panel, she will be talking about co-design care RN for newly graduated nurses to deal with burnout. She will share the app design processes and how the designers apply the principles of human-centered design and design thinking to the app design. Please welcome Professor Zhu.
Myself. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Ting Zhou. Currently, I'm assistant professor of web and interactive design at University of Connecticut. So my research really focuses in UI UX design in healthcare as my primary research interest. So today I'm going to introduce one mHealth design project. I collaborated with Professor Eileen Carter. She's a nursing scientist and also assistant professor at UConn Nursing School. So nursing is one of the most physically and mentally demanding professions. Nurse burnout is the state of mental, physical, and emotional exhaustion caused by sustained work-related stressor. Without proper management, nurse burnout is with serious consequences. So the burnout actually it's the #1 cause of nurse leaving the profession. So the purpose of this app is we prevent like a nurse burnout before it like occurs. So my collaborator, Aline Carter, Dr. Aline Carter, she's a nursing scientist and assistant professor at UConn Nursing School. So she worked in the emergency room for several years, and she understands those newly graduate nurse situations, and she brought this project to me and to my students. Aline gave us some like reading materials when we started this project, really helped me and the design team understand this project subject, because our like training is only in design parts. We don't really understand what's happened to those like newly graduate nurses. So co-design is a collaborative process that's actively seeking like a knowledge and ideas from like end users. Co-design directly help brings targeted users' needs and researchers' expertise to the project. So having like Aline to join us, the design team really help us understand the projects from the user's perspective, because you know, the IRB part, we don't have like from the design team, we don't have direct access to the targeted user, I mean, those nurses and the hospital. So Aline is the one help us bring the prototype back to the community, to the users, and get the feedback for us. The slogan of this app is "Take a moment to take care of yourself." Is we try to build like the safety house to users, so they can like utilize using the like fragmented time between work to seek support, do mental exercises. So during the very early stage, we did like a brainstorming, and we invited Aline to join us because she's the one really understands the targeted users' needs, understands the problems they are facing. The logo of KRN is a heart-shaped sphere. So a heart is a symbol of caring. So which is a generic and a positive reflection of a nursing job. So a sphere generates the feeling of relaxation and resolution, which is like an ultimate goal of this app to prevent burnout. So we also like try to use a very like gentle color. So all visual like element, visual components of this app were specially designed to be calming and relaxing. So no adjacent like visual components were designed to be with like a very high color contrast. So round shapes were like applied if possible, when shapes were with angles, when necessary, sharp angles were like avoided. So we do our best to keep everything in round and gentle. So our page contents will keep as simple as possible, because we understand they are super busy. We don't want to give them like a very complicated like a design to need them to use. So this is the whole like a user flow. So Dr. Carter joined us and shared many like discussed the details, and also shared the feedback with us. Like I said before, since we don't have access to the targeted user, so we share the design file prototype with her, and she shared the design with the targeted user and help us to see the feedback and change the design. So this is the whole like a process. And now we're going to the like each page, I mean the main features of this app. The login page and the profile page. So sign up in like for KRN has been designed very simple, because we were thinking at the beginning, we were thinking use the RN number, because each like nurse should have like a special ID. But then we realized if we ask those very sensitive information, they will feel uncomfortable. So we try to use it very simple. So only use username, email, and the password, so they can no other like information. So once we created like profile login, also is very simple, email and the password. So if they forget the password, they only need to put the email in, and they will receive the like a temporary PIN code and help them create a new password. The homepage part, using the users can access all the functions from the homepage. So including the three main functions: Me First, Mind Hub, and the connection. So setting and also profile and the quick mood recording. So Me First is the heart of this app, because this app section allows the user to take one moment out of their like day and pay closer attention to their needs and desires. So Me First also like allow the user to journal their like source, track their mood, and view their personal reflection throughout the weeks and months, and even like I said, inspirations. Because for them, like the most important thing is to like a management the confidentiality. So we try to make things simple, and for the like journal section, the user will be able to put the like a PIN code, so it keeps their journals very private. And let's go to the like section is the reflection part. So user will be able to journal and review the whole like other journal entries they wrote in the past, and they are like they can see each journal made per week, as well as completed goals and the moods recorded per day. Sorry. The mood track we designed very simple, just kind of like have like a limited for like different feelings. So like a simple survey: happy, fine, stressed, sad, because we realized they don't have too much time. They don't only using several minutes. So don't make them like feel very complicated to hesitating which one should they choose. So using that way, they can like become more aware of how they are feeling rather than simply going through the emotions. So I talked the reflection part is so they can like the personal reflection is a space so they can review the overall like mood, sleep, and energy over the past months, as well as they can look back as some of like favorites, they're like favorites. So on this application, user will able to favorite quotes, daily notes, and even journals and blogs, so they can like look back at what's really motivated them. And the daily quotes part. So before like Me First page, the application like relayed a new quote every day. So the piece of information allows the user to feel motivated to pay closer attention to themselves and needs. So on this page, they can like favorite the quotes by clicking the heart shape, and they also make them to make a record. To find them, they can like go back to the reflection section to find these quotes they really like. And the next one is called the connections, because we found the based on the research is we found the biggest aid to burnout is communication. So therefore, KRN can provide different source of connection for those nurses and help them feel they are connected with someone. So with those resources, the resident they can be able to understand that they are not alone when it comes to some like very overwhelming situations. The connections part of ARN also includes blog page and Ask Me section. So blogs part is very readable. Blogs come from two resources. So some other like nurses posted by other users, and also some articles we selected by editors for this app. So the connection also can like through the create connection, they can like post specific questions to some people with specific like experience, the working location and the backgrounds. So it's similar like the dating app. They can find their like a favorite means the people they want to ask a question. So then the main they can like submit to direct message to any users they found under the connection page. And the Mind Hub is another like a main features. So these pages provide a clickable like links to some like a very like some websites have like a popular nursing organizations, some such as like American Nursing Association, and immediately help hotlines, so they can help them have the mental health hotlines and the mental health self-assessment tools. And for the profile part, it's we try to like give we are trying to give them like more details. So they have added when they first start the app, they can sign up and they can check the personal information, and also they can change based on their own like needs. So notification part is more like access, so they can like choose which parts they want to get, because we know for the app design part notification, each app want to have different like a notification, so give user more freedom to choose which parts they want to get the notification, not all of like the information they want to receive, since they have very limited time to use this app. So here the whole like a design process of this app was strictly under the principle of a human-centered design, and the design using the design thinking, applying design thinking to this project to ensure the app was designed based on the needs of targeted users. So we co-designed with the and with the professor and also experienced nurses, professor, and also newly graduated nurse. So we did several rounds like a test from the very early stage, the logo color palette sent back to the user, and also for the second round test is we give them like a whole like a design prototype, and the latest one is we just it puts the whole prototype on the phone, and they can see the whole design immediately on the like
Could you
phone
please
screen.
wrap up your presentation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I have a video to watching.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Yes, I think it's a very relevant lab that we needed during the pandemic. All right, so here we have the last presenter, Tamara McLean. Tamara McLean is an experienced creative director and web designer working with a wide range of clients and organizations. She's currently a grad teaching assistant in the graphic design program at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, providing lectures and facilitating critiques. Tamara will be talking about the augmented reality mural project, Home, where users can experience virtual environmental graphics, woodland critters, and ambient sound. Please welcome Tamara McLean.
Doesn't look like that. Maybe it just doesn't like to go back. Let's try the first one.
I would just like to begin by thanking Professor An, all the organizers and supporters of this symposium. Thank you for inviting me to present. The project Home was initiated based on a call for artists from the On Broadway district. This project was created in 2021 in the summer. And it was kind of a welcome back to our community to invite people to the downtown district after we had all been quarantined for over a year unexpectedly. So they were hoping to bring people in, create community, and also some engagement through a busker mural event. They sponsored and funded the creation of 15 murals in the downtown area, and then also hired actors and creative individuals like carnival personalities to walk on stilts and just have a fun, festive environment for 2 days while the murals were being painted. So I was tasked with the challenge of creating a mural, but also a mural that connected to home. And my home is Green Bay, Wisconsin, which is known for having a lot of green space and a lot of wilderness embedded within the actual city and within the suburbs. So I started with a questionnaire. My process was to research and complete interviews, but also create an online Instagram post survey and ask for people to respond to the simple question, what does home mean to you? From that survey responses, I received a number of items. A lot of things were intangible and not visual. There was a lot of responses around smells or mom's favorite recipe or things that you feel like a hug. All great answers, but not really easily translated into visuals. So I had to reach a little bit further, do more research and more surveys. Through that process, then the next stage was to ideate, to create sketches, word lists, and a mind map. And then to start building the actual design of what the mural was going to look like, and then art directing an augmented reality scene that could play out in front of the mural. This is an example of the online Instagram campaign. Obviously, a baby in the foreground kind of sparks the responses of family. As I changed it up with pets and other things, I kind of probably swayed the answers as well. So a mural that connects with people with place in this place, which is at the time Green Bay, Wisconsin. I wanted it to represent the neighborhoods. I wanted it to represent the trees, and I wanted it to represent the action that happens in neighborhoods. And then one day I had a breakthrough. It's not.
Looks good on the stream.
Okay. These wild neighbors just walked into my yard. Meet Steve and Gavin, my husband and my son. They woke up to find that these deer were grazing in the backyard. And like any art project, that was the aha moment of this is something interactive and does actually happen. So the tree-filled neighborhoods welcome wild neighbors. And these were our new neighbors that day. The next stage, after having the mural approved and the concept finalized, which was an abstract modern silhouette of trees, creating shadows in the foreground, and then a silhouette of a neighborhood along the horizon line. The next phase was to figure out how I was going to incorporate augmented reality and bring the scene to life. So I used Adobe Aero super easy platform. This was my first experience with Adobe Aero, and I was surprised at how easy and intuitive it was and how quickly this came together. So I started out with the origami forest pack that has animations included in it, and started laying out the scene and creating the interactions. I wanted to be mindful of creatures that you would actually find in my neighborhood. So I stayed away from the lion and the wolf. I've never seen them. And then it was a matter of playing with scale and playing with the planes to make sure that things would land in front of the mural and not behind it. This was the approved concept for the mural. And at this point, the business owner who owned the building and the on-Broadway director of special events had not seen any of the augmented reality that was going to be layered on top of this. They were just approving literally the painted mural and knew that there may potentially be augmented reality, but didn't know what it was going to be. And they were happy with just the painted. So after that concept, and that was a photo mock-up, so I showed them that, what it would look like once I was done painting. I used that as the background then to create the positioning of the animals and the interactions, because I wanted to make sure that they didn't fall outside of the scene and were too far off for people to be able to interact with. I also wanted to make sure that the squirrel climbed a tree and was not just climbing in random space. The hummingbird is maybe a little bit larger than it would be in real life, but I needed to make it a little bit bigger so that people could actually see it. And this is a photo of me in the scene then once it was completed after it was painted. I've skipped a number of steps along the way. There was also an identity package. There was also a large social media campaign that went along with it. But to be mindful of time, I kind of glazed over those. The experience, what I took away from this project was how easy and fun it was to interact with augmented reality. There's also a river that's right behind this building. So I also layered in ambient noise of water running so that you get a better feel of the waves splashing up onto the shoreline of the river. And overall, I think it was pretty successful. The on-Broadway district, people were super happy. This is the timeline of the milestones. So the project was approved in June of last summer. I created the research and ideation during the month of June and then presented to the stakeholders for approval in July. The mural was painted at the end of August. So that was when the design, build, and installation happened. And it did rain that weekend. So that was a little bit of a hiccup. But gladly, I didn't have wet paint when the humidity hit, so it was fine. And then the post-event PR happened in September, where on-Broadway promoted the busker event and the murals and invited the community to come out and engage with them. So what I like about augmented reality is, as a designer, it allows me to stand up from my desk, go outside, and actually create work with my mobile device and interact with people and see how they're going to interact. So the response from the community was Ali Thut, the on-Broadway director of special events, said, "We love it." Kasia Hankowski, the Neville Public Museum director, foundation director, excuse me, said, "It's so fun, I can't stop laughing," and you'll see her in one of the videos. This mural is the best. It literally comes to life, was a quote from Jessica Dietrich, Habitat for Humanity CEO and president. All of those community leaders are working with their own organizations to try and bring people to the downtown area and post-pandemic get everybody talking and interacting again. This is Kasia. And this is Ally Thuck. Thank you for inviting me to present.
Thank you, Tamara, for your presentation. I think your project is really fun and friendly and playful. All right. Thank you for these inspiring projects and your presentation. I feel like I think we're good with time. We have 15 minutes for Q&A. If you guys have any questions or comments for our three presenters, please type that in the chat. And I saw one question from Taegyum Lee for Ben.
It's not a question, but I was about to ask Ben about the question. Have you ever considered using some kind of friction fitting so you don't have to use glue or something? It's also called interference fitting. So if it's kind of tight enough, you can just actually just fit it in there.
So would that require kind of like, is it kind of like a die? Like if I was to use the original motor, then take and then just cut out the shape of it within the wooden piece. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. For example, wood can be tapered slightly, so as it slides
Okay.
in, have a little friction, so you're not gonna grab it.
So it pinches. Okay. No, I hadn't. We're
But
gonna
we
have
also
to talk about that.
we have a special. It's not, but like I thought like we have to use a little kind of friction fitting. You don't have to use glue, but like it just depends
Right.
on some build there.
Yeah, I think that could work.
No, just suggestion.
I'm gonna have to send you some photos
Mhm.
and yeah, see how to make that function. If what's coming in my head is the same thing. So yeah, thank you, sir. That's good.
All right.
Anyone else? Okay. This is just very general questions that I had regarding the human-centered design. And I was wondering how you guys sort of balance individual like focused solutions and standardized solutions in human-centered design area.
So let me ask one, individual versus standardized. How would you
customized, like so everyone has different sort of needs, and maybe there is an options for like specializing something in functions or so individual focused customized solution versus some standard solutions regarding functions.
I think that was part of one of the things that was challenging for me was that I tried to standardize the solution with the 5 minutes, but really, if you really dig into epilepsy, it's as unique as a personality. It's a general rule that it's, on average, it's about 5 minutes, but it isn't always. And so that is, when I come down to one of your other questions, I know you sent around to us earlier, was like, have we tried testing it? And I have not, because like I said, they're not quite functioning, but also that in my standardization, have I done enough to address all those needs? I don't know. And I guess that makes me a little nervous, you know?
Okay, thank you. I love the materials that you used. The wood, of course, very touching and functional. And also some applications, you added some colors based on the boxes that you had. That was very cool. We have
Yeah,
question we have a question in the chat. Great presentations, everyone. It's from Mia. Hi, Mia. What are your favorite readings or resources for human-centered design thinking methods to share with your students and colleagues? Maybe Ting, if you
Yes. So I think I would like to answer your question too, because based on my research and teaching experience, since my work really focuses in design for healthcare, so then during the whole design process, we did a design research. So that means we try to understand the target users' needs, and also what is the specific needs they want to. We using design to solve. And when we're doing design, the whole design process, you see the brainstorming we did. So we actually, for design team, we vote. So then we decided which function, which feature we should incorporate in this app design. So that's my personal experience. Answer your question. And for the reading part, I found an interesting thing is for a human-centered design, they have tons of a digital book. You don't really need to buy. But for my area, it's because I really focus on healthcare design. So I have a book, actually here. It's called sorry, because I'm in my office. It's called Discovery Design.
She's ready.
Yeah, so that one is from the D school. And I know, I'm not sure it still can buy from Amazon, but this is my favorite book. And another one is Ellen Lupton. They published, I think they have 2 versions, Health Design Thinking, really, because the book they wrote is from the designer's side, not from the healthcare professional side. It's much easier to understand. So that's 2 books, since I focus in a healthcare design. So maybe other designers, professors can share their information.
Thank you, Ting, for the great information. Tamara, would you like to share any resources or specifically the technique that you used for your project home?
As for design resources, I tend to read everything. So I just off the long list of books that are available right now on Amazon. I just finished Caplocks, which I thought was very interesting. If anyone's read that, it's a great comparison of capitalism to graphic design and how the graphic design materials that we produce oftentimes are interwoven with history and capitalism. And on top of that, I like reading artist and designer biographies. So I just picked up Debbie Millman's last one, or Debbie Millman, and Aaron Draplin. So those are a couple of resources that I think are fun. As far as tools for the augmented reality, I've been working primarily in Adobe Aero right now and trying to explore what all it can create. I'm hoping later this summer to also have a new project out in augmented reality where I create my own digital assets. And that process will involve Adobe Aero and then also Blender and Adobe Illustrator.
Okay, thank you so much. We have question from Alex for Tamara. So many people have a narrow relationship with public art, often limited to the ideas of murals or sculptures. Are there any things you've come across that help people understand the work and ways to engage with it?
Difficult question. I guess what I like about augmented reality is it does take it to another level where you can actually interact with it. I guess I wouldn't have any other advice than that.
If there's any suggestions in the audience,
May I ask question for Ben?
or if there's any like ideas to explore more, as welcome to suggest. Did you say anything, Ting?
Yes.
Yeah,
Could
go
I
ahead.
ask-
Go ahead.
Yeah,
T.
Ben, when could we buy your toys?
Oh.
as soon as Taekyum and I can figure this thing out, as soon as I can get them to work, I'll give one to everyone here for free. How about that?
Thank you so
Um,
much.
That sounds wonderful, Ben. I was thinking that maybe you can customize the toys, of course,
Yeah.
with the timing, or the colors. I guess you have many different shapes, but you know, that would be wonderful. And for Tamara, I thought maybe like, how about human bodies, augmented reality within human body? That will be something we could try. Maybe they can connect with the healthcare projects.
That's an interesting idea. And I did entertain the idea of ghost stories.
Mhm.
I live in a very historic area of Wisconsin, and I thought it would be interesting to tell the stories of our ancestors through a tour of some kind and having augmented reality actors filmed and then use it as augmented reality.
I guess regarding like all your 3 projects, you know, like thinking about human being, their behaviors and mental health, your all 3 projects are in common somehow. So in the future, maybe you all 3 can collaborate on something. I think we have
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Let's do
Yeah,
it.
let's do it.
Please invite me when you write a proposal together. Okay. So we have 3 more minutes left. If there's any questions, if there's no questions, maybe we can. Alex, is that, or Taekyum?
Yeah, I think that's good then. So let's give our speakers one more round of applause. Thank you for moderating.
Thank you so much. To do a closing announcement. Thank you, everyone, and all 3 presenters that Alex sent us to moderator was that to follow schedule and events, and I hope all of you can join the closing reception tomorrow.